All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. NorCal Sport Network. Giants, Warriors. Warriors win a big one. Huge game. Never in doubt, in my mind. Except our producer, nonstop texting. Thinking about game 3. He said, how about you worry about game 1? Anyway, Warriors win it by 10. We'll get right into it. Let us thank our sponsor, Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Give Chapman Law Group a call. They specialize in personal injury. Do not settle with an insurance company before you call Chapman Law Group. You could be leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table. So give Chapman Law Group a call and let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All righty, let's get the band, Lou. A defensive game tonight. Warriors put on a defensive clinic, but they let the Rockets back into the game with offensive rebounding, tenacious defense of their own. Warriors were they never really drove to the hoop. They just kind of hung around the three-point line and let the ball in the hands of some non-shooters. And they were forced to throw it to somebody who could shoot or throw it up. I don't know how many times they did that. But, there was a period there when the game was – they were letting the Rockets back in. It appeared to me, and I understand Kuminga is not playing in the series for different reasons, but I wondered to myself, could they use a Kuminga to get some rebounds, to tell him, get in there and use your athleticism to get some rebounds, because they were getting smoked, absolutely smoked on the offensive glass tonight. It was just looked like a volleyball game. They were just playing tip it up. That was disastrous, that one stretch there. And Houston, we said we wanted Houston because Houston can't score. That's the thing. They can't score. So thoughts on the game?
I thought Houston looked like it was their first playoff game ever. That's what they look like at home. They also got off to the big start. The Warriors, of course, aren't the quickest team right out of the gate, but the Warriors came back, played defense, and I think it was a little both. I think it was a real good Warrior defense, and the Houston starters couldn't hit the side of a barn. I mean, really their center, who played really well, Şengün, was really the only guy that showed up, from the beginning to the end. Everybody else was clanking. Dylan Brooks couldn't hit the side of a barn like usual. Van Vliet, he was almost doing too much because nobody else was. I mean, Jalen Green was, at one time was 1 for 11. He wound up 3 for 15. So I think it was a little both factors. I think Houston, with the lights on, really didn't show up, and a little Warriors defense. And, the other thing about the Warriors, they sort of got lucky to build that big lead and not come back. Because, Curry hit 2 threes with literally, I think one was like 0.1 second left, where he was fading out of bounds to the right.
He was,
and then the other one.
unconscious.
So really, if those shots don't go in, that's a big 6 points that really you don't think about at the time, that were really big at the time. And when they made the run down to 3, if he doesn't make both of them, the Warriors are losing. So
clutch.
But I think it's, he was super clutch. I thought the one thing too is Butler just said, you know what? I'm going to take good shots, and if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it to the hoop, which a leader does. But, this is going to be a fun 7 games. The one thing I'm just
I don't know if
little
it's going 7, Lou. I can't see the series going 7.
I'm telling you, because one thing that scares me, Green. He gets
Which
too
Green?
involved.
Draymond Green or Jalen
Yeah,
Green?
Draymond. No, Draymond Green. It's almost like a competition, like what he did at the end when Seguin was trying to shoot a free throw. There's no need. You're going to win this game. Don't be dumb so it gets in the refs' minds. I'm just thinking, he's like, it's only game 1. Green, relax. We're going to get the W.
I don't
That's
see
the
this
main
series
concern
going
right now.
7, Lou. I got it going 6, and I could see it even being less than that. These guys are young, and they play like young, and the Warriors defense, I knew this was going to be a different type of season because, look, a lot of people get on Kerr for a lot of things, but the one thing he knows how to do is plan for the playoffs. And you get a lot of planning time. Look, they don't play again until Wednesday. He knows what Houston's going to come out and adjust. They're going to have to adjust too. So we welcome in Los. Welcome, Los.
Yes, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I thought the you see the officiating. It's so inconsistent in the playoffs. At the start of the second half, they started just calling touch fouls, like on the perimeter. Guys are tapping and they're going, "Oh, foul!" Boop. And then guys drive to the hoop. They just get completely annihilated. No foul. But the funniest thing to me tonight watching the game was on the offensive glass. Houston, Steven Adams looked like. Have you ever played with your grandkids or your kids and they're like 4 and you're sitting there holding the ball and they're jumping and trying to get it from grandpa or dad or something, and you're just moving the ball around and the Warriors look like midgets around Steven Adams. But the thing about Steven Adams is he can't shoot. So he gets the ball and it's like just play off of him. And that's what they were doing. And they were clogging holes. And, I just can't see Houston being able to score enough to make this a series. But stranger things have happened. What do you think, Los?
What was I saying in the group text about what to do to Steven Adams down the stretch?
Oh, hack a Shaq, basically.
He can't shoot free throws. I mean, they're bricks. So once it gets to 6 or 8 points, hey, if you want to keep playing him, okay, we're going to foul him and force a 46, 48% free throw shooter. And when he keeps missing and missing, guess what? Coach will have to take them off the floor. And that'll be a bigger adjustment for the Warriors. But, defense won this game. Part of it was good Warriors defense. Part of it is Houston just is not a good shooting team. I wouldn't expect them to shoot this bad game too. I think they'll come out with more energy. The Warriors, young guys, got a very experienced lesson tonight that you can't learn in the film room and you can't learn in practice. Playoff basketball is a whole different story. You know how in the group text I was hard on Moody the whole game. I was like, dude, if you're going to keep Kuminga on the bench, you better do something. And he hit a big shot late, which was good for his confidence.
I think he hit 2 shots, did he? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he'll loosen up a little bit. But overall, I didn't like Moody's game tonight. His timidness, his inability to create on the offensive end. And we were talking a few days ago about high IQ and this and that. Sometimes you need balls and nuts in the playoffs. Just as much as IQ. If you don't have the balls to want the ball and to create and shoot the ball, I don't care what your IQ is. So hopefully Moody will play better. Pods played a very underrated game. He did a lot of little things to help. He would tip rebounds to guys if he couldn't get it himself.
Yeah. And he had that one at the end where he tipped it over to Jimmy, and Jimmy laid it in.
Yeah.
Big play. He was plus 17 tonight. Butler was plus 14. Curry, I don't know how, this whole plus minus thing to me, I shouldn't even be bringing it up because to me it's a flawed stat. Curry was plus 3, but You're trying to tell me that he was the difference maker. Without Curry tonight, they don't win this game. He scored 31, but the three that he shot from the hip going out of bounds was absolutely ridiculous. Yep. But you know what? He practices that shot. That is not a lucky shot for him. It's just all the same motion. All as he's doing, instead of shooting it here, he's shooting it to the side, but he practices that, and it's just all the same motion. If he has a good look at the hoop, dude, the guy makes it from the tunnels, right?
Yeah. And for Warrior fans on here that think that this is a wrap and this is done, the series is over, keep in mind this is the playoffs and adjustments will be made. Yeah. If you're Houston, if you're their coaching staff, two guys pretty much beat you tonight scoring, Jimmy and Steph. So if you focus all your attention to stopping those two guys, what's going to happen to the Warriors offense if Steph slows down a little bit and they blitz him even more and they now start blitzing Jimmy? Are you confident that Moody can score 12 to 15 points a game? Are you confident that Pods can score 14 to 18 points?
I'll tell you,
they're going to make adjustments. Trust me.
I think one area that they might try to do, they're going to blitz Steph as they did tonight, but they're going to be more physical with him from the outset. They're going to, and the refs are going to let it loose because they're down 1-0. They're going to try and rough up Steph to the point where it's going to be beyond basketball at times. And what I would like to see is, because when they get trapped Steph, they get it to either Jimmy, but Jimmy's a little bit hesitant at times to shoot. He's going to wait, be patient, take it down. I would like to see a little bit. Give me 5 minutes of Jonathan Kuminga. If he's not playing within the offense or he's screwing up on defense, you got to get him out of there. But I would like to see, when they trap Steph, get the ball to Kuminga and let him just go, use his athleticism to go straight at the hoop.
Yeah.
And I think that could offset what they're going to try to do to eliminate Steph. It would be one more threat, and you'd have to have a short leash with him, because if he's not doing the right things. But you gave Buddy Hield 15 minutes tonight, and Buddy was
trash.
Bad.
Yeah,
Buddy was bad. He was losing balls. He was couldn't hold on to things. Hey, happy Easter to you too, Shell. Good to see you in here.
Buddy was missing even mid-range shots, like little 14, 15 wide open. Like, if you can't make those, then you serve no purpose on the floor. And that's what I mean. Like, you're playing guys that, okay, you're playing them over somebody and they're giving you absolutely nothing. But you're right, Dan, you need easy baskets against this Houston team because they are so long and they are going to blitz the three-point shot. You need easy baskets. And as you saw tonight, every Warrior, including the great Jimmy Butler, got blocked at the rim. There's one guy that can finish on this team, and he's not going to play. He gets you easy baskets on the pick and roll when you double team Steph. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to play unless there's an injury.
Yeah, I just if they get down maybe and they need a spark, I could see them going to him, but I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Deloading. I'm thinking the same thing. If you're going to play Buddy Hield, who's just was trash, you can't tell me that Kuminga, who's way more athletic, taller, can jump higher, couldn't give you what Buddy Hield did. And I think if you get, you might just get an unleashed Jonathan Kuminga who's really pissed off and plays with controlled aggression, if that makes sense. Not out of control aggression, but controlled aggression. You never want to be out of control in any sport. because then you're just, no good. But if you can use your aggression, your anger to your advantage, and play like tenacious and dive for balls and get 50-50 balls. And I really think Kuminga could have helped on the boards tonight.
Big time.
If you tell him, look, stop seeping out and trying to get on the fast break. I need you to be under here and box out and get rebounds. We need you to use your ability to jump and get rebounds, and then we'll run the offense. The thing that has caused Jonathan Kuminga problems on the defensive board is he's slipping out trying to get the ball on the wing, and when someone else gets the rebound, so he could take off, because he loves to just take off with his motor. But if he can discipline himself and stay and get the rebounds, I think he can play some minutes in this series, because Houston's a monster on the glass.
Yeah.
And post, I'm sorry, he can't jump. He can't jump. Şengün was eating him up. He froze. He shot an air ball on a 3 that told me the playoff moment got to him. He's just got to relax. I think the Warriors getting this win will help.
Isn't it funny how both Warriors centers can't jump? Looney can't jump.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Jackson is still there. He's an athletic big. You got two athletic players on your team that can match up a little bit with the Rockets, and you're not going to go to them. It's an interesting philosophy. It may work, but like I said, Houston missed a lot of shots, not because of Warriors' great defense. They just missed shots. They're just not a good shooting team. The Warriors cannot play like this, where they only have 2 guys really scoring against other teams in the Western Conference that can score. They'll get lit up. So hopefully they correct that.
I did think Post was not too bad in the first half. Yeah, I would agree with that. They were going on a run. I mean, the Warriors opened up the third quarter with 6-7 minutes to go in the third quarter. They're up 23, and you're thinking keep putting the pedal to the metal, but then Houston started tightening up on D, getting more and more rebounds, offensive rebounds, and there it went. But
see, the things that TJD can bring you to the table, guys, is he gives you a lob threat. So when you are blitzing and it's like a 3-on-2 going to the basket, you can lob it up to him and he can throw it down. You can't do that with Looney. TJD can also rebound well.
Yeah.
And he can also block shots at the rim to make, a little bit harder for Houston to score in the paint. So he brings some things to the table. But again, it doesn't look like he's going to play.
My biggest issue with Trace Jackson Davis is he's played very soft. He needs to bump up his intensity. He looks like he's just too nice of a kid. Doesn't get in there and really mix it up. But how many turnovers tonight? Let me see what the Warriors had. Turnovers for the Warriors, they had a total of 11. Houston had a lot, 16. A lot of forced ones by the Warriors defense. Rebounds tonight, offensive rebounds, 22 for Houston. The Warriors had a total of 6. And the Warriors had a total of 30 defensive rebounds for a total of 36. Houston had 52. They were out-rebounded by 16 tonight. Pathetic. And those 16, they both got 30 defensive rebounds. It was the 22-6 on the offensive glass that was just, man, that's a lot of rebound second chances.
Yeah, that's where those 2 athletic guys that are not playing could be used. But what do you guys think about the mental state of mind of TJD and Kuminga, because if they do go to them in the series, they're young players. They're going to like try maybe too hard, because it's almost like in a baseball analogy, like you're not starting a guy and you pinch hit him and you expect them to do something. It's a very limited time that you can do something, and maybe you're going to try too hard and go outside your box and maybe not do too well. I think both of their mental minds might be a little fragile right now, where it's like, you don't believe in me and now you're throwing me in there. Like they're going to try too hard, and I don't know if they're going to be very helpful when it's all said and done. I hope I'm
right. Right. Hey, Los, just a little inside. Don't look now, but somebody's creeping up on your back. Okay.
Oh, I had to think about that for a little bit. What you're talking about? Yeah.
It's early. It's very early. I'm not even thinking about it.
But
Why don't Lou? What's your overall take on this game tonight, as far as Warriors on the boards, Warriors? Just how do they play? What was your thoughts?
I thought Houston played horrible. I thought they laid an egg and they'll come back. I never even thought about them bringing TJD in, because he hasn't played, to me, the last third of the season. So I don't know why you would put him in the playoffs. Playoffs is like 7 or 8 deep. That's it. Yep. I think the Warriors are, really, to tell you the truth, and we'll talk more about the players of the game. I thought Gary Payton, again, the silent hero, was huge, especially when he had his time. And I would say Pods played well too, but if you expect the Warriors to come in and, I think some of these guys on the chat think we're going to, we'll win in 4 or 5. No, guys, Houston finished second for a reason. You guys also forgot Houston won at Golden State the last week of the season, when it was really a big game. But that was last week, so you guys probably forgot. But I think Houston's going to come out game 2. And if the Warriors can try to survive, if they go up 2-0, then it's definitely over. But I think this series still has a long way to go. I think Houston, has a lot of pride. They finished second for a reason. And I just thought they played a real, real bad game. And like I said, I thought the Warriors played great, but they played great probably 3/4 of the game. And in the playoffs, the NBA is, first of all, still full of all runs. And, you got to be ready. There's always going to be a 12-0 run. But what I was most proud about the Warriors tonight is Houston got it down to 3. The Warriors didn't panic, and they wind up winning by 10. So, it was they got kicked in the gut, but they still came out and won by 10, which to me, I think what's really big is you have 2 studs in Curry and Butler, and they don't want to lose. So, the other thing too is, knock on wood, we can't have any injuries. We got to be purely healthy, and we got to go in game 2 like we're down 0-1. Let's go for it. You don't want to even it up, because Houston's already proven they can win in our court. So I'll just say that.
Yeah, deloading.
But you got to remember. Oh, Dan, one more thing. At one point, they were 4 for 12 in their free throws. So Houston missed their free throws, and I think they were 6 for 30 in their 3-pointer. When you're at home, you're not going to shoot that bad.
Yeah.
Well,
game. a lot of the unforced, there was the missed shots and the turnovers were due to the Warriors' style of defense. It was really messing with them. But that game they lost, that was, as Lee Loading says, Houston has no offense, and that game was game 3 in 4 nights, and a tough back-to-back. They were gassed. What's nice about this right now, the Warriors had 4 days off, to 4 full days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And now they're in Houston, and they're going to rest up. Yep. They've got tomorrow and Tuesday, and then they play game 2 on Wednesday night. So that's over 48 hours of full rest. And for a veteran team, and then the coaching staff, they will get back together. They will put together a plan. I could see the Warriors. Houston's going to come out, and the Warriors know they're going to come out. But I could see the Warriors being ready for them because of Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry. They know they've been here. I mean, did you see the stat that started the game? How many playoff games this was for the starting lineups? It was like one for everybody on Houston, and except Dylan Brooks had some. I don't know if Van Fleet starts or if he comes off the bench. I couldn't remember, but most of the Houston team was their first playoff game. Now the Warriors, it was the first start for Moses Moody and for who was the other starter for the Warriors at Pods? It was their first start, but yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, the Warriors to win this series and really to even advance further, they have to get 2 to 3 guys helping Steph and Jimmy. And Draymond, you kind of expect what you're going to get from him. You know, he didn't really score tonight very much. He's been actually scoring pretty well lately, but you know what you're going to get from him. But from the big three, you need 2 or 3 other guys like contributing. Like they kind of Pods had a good game today. Moody, despite his, last few shots in the fourth quarter, he played okay defense. But I mean, what I didn't like about Moody that bothered me is like he cannot create. In the playoffs, when defenses step up, you need to be able to, with 6 seconds on the shot clock and there's 2 guys on Curry, you need a guy to be able to create a shot on his own. And Moody's not capable of doing that. Let's be real. He cannot do that. He drives left, the guy's right there. He drives right, the guy's right there. He can't really levitate and pull over somebody. So, like, you got to think about that. Moody's, again, he is what he is. And in the playoffs, in these closer games, you kind of need guys that can be able to create baskets for themselves. And the Warriors only have about 2 or 3 guys that can do that.
Yeah. Bill says Jonathan Kuminga does not stay outside on his own. It's the offense that Kerr runs. Disgusting way Kerr has handled JK. Los, he says TJD and JK are shot mentally.
I agree. I agree.
There we go with that.
I remember TJD taking it to how do you pronounce his name? Wembanyama, the Spurs monster.
Wembanyama.
I remember TJD taking it to him when he was confident and just ramming it down his throat. And he was playing physical. I don't know what happened to him, but I liked his game. I liked what he brought to the table. And I don't know if the coaching staff is taking his confidence or he took his own confidence. But DJ Loading's right. He's probably not going to play unless there's an injury. And it's too bad because I like what he could potentially bring to the table.
Yeah. He asked you think if Kuminga gets to play, would he take up Buddy's minutes or Gee's?
Buddy's. I like Gee's hustle and scrap. You need that against a team like Houston. Buddy gives you nothing in any other category if he's not scoring. Nothing.
Yeah. What's the over-under, you think? Does Dylan Brooks do something to either get a tee or get tossed in game 2?
Yes and yes. I think he's gonna do something to get under the skin. Hey, look, if he starts something with Butler and they both get thrown out, who wins that exchange?
Right.
Houston's got to do what they got to do because if you get Curry and Butler out of the game, the Warriors are in kind of big trouble. Yeah. Houston's a deeper team, but the Warriors are just have the star power at the top of the rosters. But yeah, that's something to keep an eye out for. He's known to do that before.
Yeah. Don't know what happened to TJTs. Yeah, that's coaches lost confidence. We bring in Deloading to the stage. Welcome, Deloading. What was your take on the ball game tonight?
What's up, guys? I got a ton of takes on that game, but most importantly, that game just got stressful. Like, before the game started, you're kind of thinking, like, Houston needs to win this game. Like, they're the 2 seed, and people are already doubting them. They got to get this game won at home. Yep. And then when it flips, you're up 23, and the Warriors are staring down the face of the gun. They're only up 3. That would be a devastating loss for them. That would have been horrible to start the series that way. So just getting out with that win was huge.
Yeah, they gotta go in Wednesday night with the idea that they cannot settle and think oh, we'll just take 2 automatically in San Francisco. That's why you got to go up 2-0, because you want to leave San Francisco. I mean, ideally you want to sweep a team, but you want to when you don't have the home court, you want to leave 3-1. You don't want to go 2-2, because then it's a 3-game series with 2 in Houston. So you want to go 3-1, and then you have 1 home game and 2 road games to get it done. And I really think I could see that happening. But Houston is a team you cannot give them, especially at home. You can't let them get the crowd into it and get them to thinking they have a chance. If you can bury them, I think they are young enough to feel the pressure, like they've got to, do something extra. And I don't know. If you can stop, who's their scorers? Their 3-point shooters, Van Fleet, and who's the other one?
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green. See,
Jabari Smith is all right. He's kind of up and
down. Gosh, I really do think if Kuminga's going to play, this is the type of series that he would fit, because these guys are athletic.
He should have been in there today.
He's had some of his best games against Houston.
Yeah,
I mean, watch the film. He's had some of his best games against Houston.
I mean, Jalen Green can move, and they're used to each other. They played on the same team in the G League, so they know each other. Jabari Smith's quick. That other kid that
Amen.
No, yeah, he's quick. And then there's one other guy.
Tari Eason.
Yeah, Eason. Look,
they're all quick. They're all quick, and they're all long. They present problems. And the way they play, by doubling and creating, open lanes to the basket, just speaks to Kuminga's talent. Because, again, he can finish. All these other guys, they're not going to finish. They're going to get blocked at the rim.
Right.
But to Deloading's point, game 1, he's right. Like they're the number 2 seed. They had a hell of a season. They finished the year strong, and the Warriors are still the favorites to win this series. They wanted to come out and win game 1, and I think if the Warriors would have blew them out like they were potentially going to do, I think that really would have messed a young team psychologically up to lose by over 20. But to let them get back into it, you kind of left them with a little bit of confidence, because they're thinking, damn, we almost came back on those experienced Warriors and almost beat them. So even though they lost, you gave them a little life by letting them come back.
Yeah. Steph was just ridiculous, though.
Yeah, ridiculous shots. Bailed them out.
Steph tonight was his line. He was 12 of 19 from the field. 5 for 9 from 3, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. But that's the other thing. The Warriors' assists were way down, only 20. I understand it's playoff basketball, and you may not get 30 in a playoff. But to only have 20 assists.
That's the byproduct of just them going to Steph and Jimmy a lot on just get us a bucket, because I would say up until the 4th, everybody else was horrible. Like Moody, Draymond, Podziemski, Buddy Hield especially, they were horrible on offense. But I thought you got great production from them in the 4th. Like Moody had a stretch there when it was a 1-2 possession game where he had a huge, tough rebound, and then he got a tip steal, hit like a midi fade, and then hit that huge corner 3. That was just changed the game.
That was huge. That changed the game, right? Because it put him up 7. And how did? Let's see. Pods was 3 of 8 from 3, scored 14. He was the 3rd leading scorer. Wow, only 3 guys in double figures. Jimmy and And Steph scored 66 of the 95 points tonight.
And Pods led the team in rebounds.
Yeah. He did a lot of little things that help you win. If you watch that fourth quarter, the Rockets had a lot of offensive rebounds in the paint, and here would come Pods like just wrestling or knocking the ball away when there was that. And those are huge little things if you're watching closely to get possession, because if they put it back and score, that's another basket. They're a little bit closer. So Pods has got active hands. He's a good rebounder for a guard. And like I said, he does little things to help you win. And that's what you need. That's what you need.
Let me ask you guys something here. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but let's just say the Warriors do go on to win this series. And I think they would face Minnesota. I picked Minnesota to beat the Lakers. Does playing Houston help them because of Houston's size? And Minnesota's a similar team. They've got Gobert and they've got Naz Reid, some big guys. And then they got McDaniels, who's tough on the boards. And then they got, Randall. I mean, they're a physical team. They're a more talented team, Minnesota, offensively. But does that set well for the Warriors if they get past Houston?
Go ahead, guys.
I'll go first. Completely different type of team, Dan. I think it just gives them a different aspect in case Minnesota throws them something. But, Minnesota, like what I saw the other night, I mean, they get the ball and they're running 100 miles an hour. They're more talented shooters. And I just think they're overall a much more offensive-based team. Now, their defense is a little bit different than Houston, obviously, but I think they're a more balanced team. So I don't think it really helps. It's just, it's not like the tournament where, in college where you play other people to get ready for a particular thing. I mean, I just hope they advance, and then they just have to adapt to the way Minnesota plays.
Your thoughts on this? Deloading?
Yeah, they are a different team. Their defense is worse, but their offense is much better. The interesting part of it is LA in that game one, their defensive game plan was to just double Anthony Edwards and hope that he tried to hero ball it, and he completely didn't. He was finding all the open guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they look that good because LA's defense is that bad. And
correct.
The thing with Houston is that their defense is amazing, but the Warriors' defense it's close. It's up there as well, but Houston's offense is just horrible, and the Warriors' offense is decent. The Warriors would be able to exploit Minnesota for sure. It's just, I think the biggest thing is to try to get out of this series early, because I think that series with LA is going to go long. And if you can just get these guys rest, I think that they'd be set up well to get past Minnesota.
Great point. If you can finish this series in 5, that would be awesome, because I think that Warriors or Lakers, Minnesota's going 7.
I would personally, possibly looking ahead, if we are, I would be a little concerned about Draymond, because if he's going to play 38 to 40 minutes in this series and he's giving up so much weight to Steven Adams and Agun Balin, I mean, don't watch the ball. Watch what Draymond has to deal with those two guys. You're going to ask, and he's not young either, you're going to ask him to be physically pushing and shoving and grabbing with these two guys 40 minutes a game. You better get them out in 4 or 5, because if you go 6 and 7, Draymond's not going to have much left over in rounds 2 or 3. That's a lot to ask of a 34-year-old guy that's 6'6", 235 pounds.
That's a good point. Because they do. He is seriously outmanned. I mean, you think about the Warriors' first title, they had Andrew Bogut, right?
Yep.
The next 2, they had Zaza Pachulia, a big enough guy to come in, didn't play all the time.
JaVale McGee.
You had JaVale McGee. You had what's his name?
Most Spates.
Most Bates. He was a big,
More of a
body
shooter.
guy.
They have a David West.
David West. Yeah,
He was an enforcer. So
those
that's
big
a great
guys.
point.
Yeah, the Warriors had those extra guys where Draymond didn't have to play the 5 the whole time. He might play the 5 in, when they went with the Hampton 5 lineup, and he was, that he was fresh. That was an incredible team. That Hampton 5 when you brought KD, Curry, Clay, Iguodala, and Green. I mean, they were just run up and down, and then of course KD was 6'11", right? So
they don't have that anymore. You could get away with playing small ball when you have KD and you have Iguodala and you have Sean Livingston.
Those guys were length.
But you don't have those guys anymore, and that's why the Warriors kind of under the radar in those championship years, like you said, Dan, they had functional big men that could lean on the other big men. They could fit. JaVale McGee gave you a lot of easy points at the rim with lobs, and Looney doesn't do that, and Post doesn't do that, and Draymond doesn't do that. So that puts a lot of pressure on Curry and Butler to have to score a lot because they can't get easy baskets.
This is kind of more of the blue collar version of the Warriors. That was the revved up engine Warriors. Those guys had length, which caused problems in the passing lane. This team, they have to win, different ways. I mean, it is a different game now. With Jimmy Butler, the Warriors can tend to be more ISO. If you look at tonight's game, how many times did the Warriors have the ball down to the final seconds of the shot clock? They had a couple of violations. They had to throw some up with a half a second. That's not the way the Warriors have always played. They've always moved the ball. But I think Kerr is building the team around Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, okay, you get the ball to Steph. I mean, they're still running the motion offense where they're setting screens and Curry's running all over. But if you watch him closely, when Jimmy's got the ball, there's many times it's just the kind of basketball that we used to despise with Harden and the Rockets and back down.
Yeah, and that's a dangerous way to play because as great as Steph is, if he has an off night, like you're probably not winning. And you kind of like to think the Warriors have a different ways of beating you, and they don't. You just said it. Those Warrior teams were brand new Bentleys with 700 horsepower. This Warrior team is a Bentley with 110,000 miles on it and doesn't quite have the power that it does and needs to get serviced once in a while. And isn't the engine that those teams were. They need a lot to go right to be able to win, and they don't have the firepower. And relying on Steph to do it all the time, like you said, Dan, he bailed them out with some miracle shots. If he does not make those shots, this might have been a devastating loss. They can't let it get to that in the next few games. They need other guys to step up.
I want to ask you guys a question regarding this team, the way they played tonight. Would they have been more effective when they were putting them on them up by 23 to continue with the guys that were out there, or bring a few more fresh reinforcements out that would keep up the intensity, all the while either keeping Jimmy or Steph on the floor as well? And I'm talking guys like bringing in a Kuminga for 5 minutes stretch. I'm talking about, GP2, we saw him out there, but, maybe a Santos a little more. He only played 7 minutes, but where there's more energy and you give Houston kind of keep that pressure up on them. Because the one thing I got to say about the Warriors, when they get a big lead, they tend, the old teams used to put the pedal on. I mean, they'd floor it. Okay, we're going to bury out. This team tends to let up, and then they start getting careless. And Draymond tries to thread needles on passes that have no business trying to throw it. Just take what the defense gives you. Do you think they would have been better off bringing in a couple of guys when the lead was bigger? Is that the time, or would that have been a mistake? What do you guys think?
Well, when they're up 23, Draymond had one of the worst turnovers I've ever seen when he just gets the rebound and then pass to a guy 4 feet in front of him, 90 feet away from the basket. At that point, Houston they had no offense going.
Right.
And there's no reason to speed up the pace when they can't score at all. Just slow it down and get it going. They actually did put in new fresh guys off the bench like a minute later after that happened. But it was Buddy Hield and Looney who had some of the worst minutes I've seen in a while. So they did put in fresh guys, but they were horrible. I've disagreed with you guys on the Kuminga thing plenty of times, but there's no reason that Kuminga shouldn't have gotten play over Buddy Hield when Buddy Hield was doing nothing. Like when Buddy Hield's not hitting shots, there's no point to have him out there.
Yeah, it's I don't know at what point they're going to go. I mean, basically tonight you played 10 guys, but Looney and Santos 9 minutes and 7 minutes. So, Buddy, I can't believe got 15 minutes tonight
at all.
No, I mean that's what was hard to watch because he made 1 3. No, he didn't. He was it a 2? He made no, he made 1 3. No, he didn't. He's over 2. It says here on the stat line. I thought he made a 3, but maybe it was close to a 3 and it was ruled a 2. I can't remember, but he was 1 of 4, 0 for 2 from the 3-point line. He got 1 rebound and a steal. And didn't he get the steal and turn it back over again? I'm trying to remember.
And he had 2 more potential rebounds that he kind of just kicked out of bounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I do not. That one baffles me. Maybe Kerr looks at the film, talks with the coaches, and maybe they say something. I mean, maybe they just try and give Kuminga a shot.
Dan, to answer your question, I think Kerr should, whether they're up or whether the game is close, I think he should sub out a little bit more because you get more tired playing defense than you do offense. And because Houston's such a good offensive rebounding team, they're getting 2 and 3 chances at the baskets on every possession. So they're scrambling. Right. The Warriors are a smaller team. They're an older team. So they have to expend so much energy to try to, even though Houston's not great shooters, they're having to expend energy to try to rebound with these taller, younger, more athletic players and then get out to them on the shooters because they're getting 2 or 3 chances. So I think Curry and Green and Jimmy were exhausted at the end of that game. Thank God it didn't go in overtime or anything like that. So, yeah, he needs to be able to understand that and sub out and spell them for 5-6 minutes at a time. Even if the production might not be there, like you can't burn them out. I know you have 3 days rest until the next game, but don't worry about game 2. Worry about winning this one. And it was starting to fall apart there.
Right. Now I'm looking at the free throws. The Warriors were 11 of 14. The Rockets were 11 of 20, 55%. And to get 22 offensive boards to the Warriors' 6 offensive boards, and the Warriors still come away with a win, pretty unusual, really, on a home playoff game, game 1. I mean, you get out-rebounded that many times, those second chances usually turn into points, and they just didn't turn into as many points as they could have. And let's say the Rockets make 4 more free throws and go 15 to 20, and that's 4 points. And if they bury on those 16 extra possessions they get, if they put in 4 or 5 of them, that's a difference in the game.
or Steph doesn't hit those 2 crazy threes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were crazy.
Yeah. The guys, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you look at the game, if you saw the whole game and then you look at the stats, the Warriors won, but I think it might have been a lot closer than, the final score. So don't judge the final score. Oh, the Warriors led. They led by 23. Houston was lucky. They wind up winning by 10. You got to remember, it was down to a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. Lowe's brings up a good point where we actually need a third and a possible 4 scorer. I mean, Houston doesn't care if the 2 big guys score 80. If nobody else scores, that means all they got to do is score 81 points combined. So,
yeah, I mean,
we won. We'll take it, but we need to do better.
The Warriors scored 95 points tonight, and 31 Steph, 25 Jimmy. That is 66 points. Correct? Or is that 56?
56.
Right. 56. Sorry. Hold on. I did my math wrong. That's right. 56. And then Pod's got 14. So 70 of their 95 points.
That's
basically over 70% of their points came from 3 guys.
That's not going to cut it.
Wow.
They got away with it tonight, but they need the other guys to score a little bit better.
But I mean, the Rockets are just as bad. I mean, they only had 85 points, and they had half of their points pretty much come from 3 guys. So,
the thing about I'm kind of ripping on Buddy Hield a little bit, but Buddy's kind of got an underrated, drive to the basket game. I've seen him. We've all seen him many times this year go to the basket, and he finishes with the left and the right. I think sometimes he just settles too much before he gets the ball, and there's a wide open lane, and he just settles for a jumper because he's a great, he's a very good shooter. I would like to see him when he gets those open lanes, go to the basket. If the guy comes to you, drop it off, somebody gets a layup. Like I said, get those easy baskets. The way Houston is playing defense, blitzing the 3-point line, there are so many opportunities to go to the basket. And if
that's why I think Kuminga would.
He would.
That's why I think Kuminga would be really good. I mean, imagine him going to the hoop with authority. They're going to have to double him. Somebody's going to be open underneath, or somebody in the corner, whether it's kick it out to Moody or Steph. How many 3-point shots did Draymond attempt tonight? Because I do not want to see much of that. He was
a couple of air balls.
0 for 2. 0 for 2. One of them was at the 24-second clock, right?
Yeah, it was like a chuck.
Yeah, that one you can excuse, but not too bad. The one that really threw me off tonight was Quentin Post's air ball. He was wide open, and he just
he shot it with a high arc, which was unusual.
Yeah. It was like he was worried that the guy closing out on him was going to get tipped. And he just put it like way up there.
Yeah, I was thinking that, dude. It's like you're 7 foot tall. Like shoot it normally. Like you're shooting this high.
Or if they're coming by you,
I thought I was seeing Purvis Short shoot.
Do the pull it back, as he flies by you.
Yeah, fake. Let him go by. Yeah.
The point you made, Los, though, about Buddy Hield, he is like pretty solid at getting to the rim. It's just his decision making once he gets there, he gets caught in the air way too much.
Yeah.
And in a game like that where he's not even hitting his shots, Kuminga could have been so effective there. Just getting another body that's fresh. Especially for the rebounding, like a lot of the rebounds were just over the top. They had the positioning, it was just over the top, like tips.
Right.
And Kuminga could have just soared in there and gotten like at least 4 or 5 of those.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking as I was watching this game kind of start to implode. I'm thinking to myself, does Kuminga? To me, that was an area I thought, hey, I think he can help in this area. You got to at least give it a shot. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an appearance to Wednesday night. I really wouldn't.
Let's say he does play. Tell me which players do you think he plays better with on the floor and which ones he does not play good with on the floor? Let's assume Kuminga is going to play 10 to 15 minutes in the next few games in this series. Like, who is he a good match with on the floor? Who do you think?
The metrics from all the offensive rating perspectives is that he's best on the floor with Steph. So I think the spot to put him in is when they take Jimmy out in that like midway of first quarter, because the metrics with him and Jimmy on the floor are really bad. And the issue is that Jimmy's playing 42 minutes a game. So it's hard to slot him in there from Kerr's perspective when Jimmy's on the floor, and he's on the floor so much. So if you can fit him in there with Steph somehow, I think that's the best spot to put him in.
Yeah, maybe you can get by with playing Jimmy 36 or 38, and Kuminga can take 12 minutes. And maybe that keeps Jimmy fresher, and it gets Jonathan some confidence, and then he feels like he's contributing.
I know there's a certain technique for a pick and roll, especially with Steph. Draymond does it great. Looney does it great. Trying to think of some other guys that, Guy Santos is a pretty good screener. The problem is those guys are not, when the pick and roll, they're not great at rolling and finishing at the basket. Like, I don't think JK knows how to pick correctly. I don't know. There's this technique. There's a way you position your body. You can't move. Obviously, you're going to be called for offensive foul. But if he can get that down and set a solid pick, and they naturally go to Steph, and you bounce past it, like I keep saying, Kuminga going to the rim is a problem for any team. Those other guys are not. So I would like to see, I agree with deloading. If it's going to be some combination, it's got to be with Steph definitely on the floor, and I'd like to see those two do more pick and rolls.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, final thoughts before we get out of here. I'm tired. Been a long day. And I'm ready to get some rest. Plus, I'm on a muscle relaxer, so I'm kind of making me more tired.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Luke.
Go ahead, Lutz. Okay.
No.
I don't think we see Kuminga at all. I personally think there might be something more behind the scenes, and that we're not talking about. I also think unless we're up like 3-0, maybe he might get time. But this is the playoffs. If there's a problem with him, with Butler, we're actually where we are because of Butler. So if there's a conflict or whatever, I don't think we're going to see him. As that Wednesday night, be ready for a war. Houston has to win. They can't go down 2-0. So, like I said, I know you guys think the series might only go 5 or 6. I think, if game 2 comes back and Houston comes back and wins, be ready for a war. I mean, because that's what these two teams, I don't think either team likes each other. I think defense, both of them are going to go at each other. It might be ugly basketball, but it's going to be fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday's game.
Yeah. Final thoughts from you, deloading, for Wednesday night?
Only thing I have to add is don't give up 22 offensive rebounds again. And that's about it.
Oh, 22 offensive rebounds. What do you think, Los?
Well, I'm just personally glad that the Warriors are in the playoffs and we can focus and talk about them. Excited for game 2, make some adjustments even though you won, and do a little bit better on finishing this game. But I'm glad we're able to talk the Warriors because I am so sick of mock drafts and the 49ers, and they're probably not going to take who I want them to take anyway. So go Dubs.
Oh, I almost texted and I said, hey, you think there's a mock draft going tonight on tonight?
Every day there's one. Every day there's one. And you're just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen. He's going to reach on somebody in the first few rounds, but let's focus on the Warriors. They're more pleasant to talk about.
All right, guys. Well, we've got next show for NorCal Sports Network will be tomorrow night, 9:00, 9:15, Giants postgame, coming back home off of a kind of a disappointment, a way to end the road trip today.
Yeah, that's why you're a little closer to me in fantasy.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody has Walker.
Yeah. I know you have Walker. I did not. I was on Walker's case but I chalked Walker's deal up. Just a bad day.
Yeah.
It happens. And you know what? Sometimes you don't have your stuff. I blamed that on Melvin today because after he hit NATO with the bases loaded and he's what are you doing? You can see he can't find the plate. Now he hits a guy on a 1-2 pitch. Melvin, why do you got Trevino warming up in the pen if you're just going to what's he getting up for? To stretch out? Look, bring him in at that point. And I just think that was, one too many hitters he faced, and it cost the Giants. So that was my deal. But,
I didn't watch the game, but I was told that he struck Trout out. He just didn't get the call.
It was, yeah.
Close pitch.
But
not really.
Yeah. But anyway. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Warriors, again, win it tonight. Go up 1-0. 95-85 behind Steph's 31. Jimmy has 25. Warriors Rockets will be game 2 Wednesday night. We should have you covered here after the ball game, but check out the Giants post game tomorrow and have a great, I guess Easter is pretty much done, but have a good week if we don't hear from you during the week. So take care, everybody. If I can find the band, there they are. Couldn't find the switch on here. Check the comments out here. Houston was sloppy down the stretch, yes.
Oh, Jesus, you did have a good day. Holy crap. Wow, I knew you got close, but not that close. Get the hell out of here, Dan.
We're still live, though.
I know we are.
Wait. We're live enough to put this up on the screen, I think. We still got a second. Plus 16, Busters boys. Closing in on Joba's run. Joba's Rum making a run at Rum.
Big time.
It's a long season.
Yeah. It's fun.
All right, guys. Have a great week. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Hit that like button on the way out. Don't forget it. Go Warriors. Go Giants. Take care.